Alright, Schlockmeister fans, continuing with my TV series reviews, old reruns from my childhood, we're going to watch this big bad boy here. It's C.H.I.P.S, as you can see, the story of Ponch and Jon, California Highway Patrol. We'll start with Season 1, obviously, so let's go. Right away in the first episode, we start off with a chase. Some car thieves have gotten away. They're hiding some cars in that big truck. The Untitled Pilot, first episode.
I was talking about. And these guys are something else. Happened again this morning. This time they hit Century City. Apparently they got a couple of clever wrinkles.
The beginning of the series, Ponch was very accident prone. Here he's got his motorcycle stuck in a pile of glue. He's in his probationary period.
So it's all the same to you. Let's just take a rain check on the lecture, Sarge, because right now I really don't need it.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. I mean, your probation is over on Monday. I would have...
Get a little action here. Car accident. Guy pulls a knife. Not the truck they're looking for.
You got something?
Well, it stands to reason. The guys we stopped yesterday, they must have put their plate on this van. I mean, maybe they switched them because they were scared we'd run the plate and find out it wasn't registered to a van.
Eventually, they do find the guys who are the real car thieves. And we have a long chase scene on the Los Angeles freeways. Ironically, our chase comes to an end when the bad guys pull right into the Los Angeles County Jail. And they have no place to go.
For sure. Maybe we could partner up on occasion.
You gotta be kidding.
No, it's simple. Chances are we're together, I'll stay out of trouble. And if I'm out of trouble, I won't go back on probation. And if I'm not on probation, you won't be riding with me. 6 months. You want to synchronize watches?
Probation's over.
We have a tow truck driver who hears police calls. And whenever there's a single woman, he robs them. After a crash of some laughing gas, Ponch gets exposed to it. Episode 2, Undertow. Ponch is having some side effects from that laughing gas. They pull over a possible drunk driver. Is it Mr. Howell? Nope. Mr. Powell.
Very closely with the LAPD.
Well, I'm C.H.P, see?
Oh, yeah.
I think I know what's wrong with you.
What are you talking about?
Remember those chemical cylinders? It's gotta be. You inhaled enough of that stuff to float a blimp. You're higher than a kite.
There's our tow truck driver, our thief.
15-7 Adam. Confirming your ETA of 5 to assist a disabled female. Harbor Hollywood interchange.
And that's how he's finding out where they are. We learn that Ponch's favorite snacks
Cream puffy.
are ding-dongs. The boys stumble upon a robbery. Which ends in a crash.
Yeah, but he's already got a car in tow.
Kind of hinky, huh?
Better check it out.
Okay.
This one ends in a chase as well. And our robber is arrested.
Get up here!
Back off, Chippy. It's between me and him.
Hey, I said cool it.
Bring it through, take it easy. Did your mouth come with a badge?
Hey man, don't get thick with me or you're gonna be kissing the concrete.
Well, the pileup was caused by this dog.
Yeah, and a troublemaker. It's the animal shelter for him.
Oh, wait a minute, Ponch. Look, he has a cut paw.
Episode 3, Doggone. The guy that was mouthing off to Ponch earlier wants revenge.
Poncherini. That's a dude I'm gonna put on the shelf.
Meanwhile, John sneaks that dog into his apartment, which I don't think takes dogs.
Hey, wait. Are you hungry? Want something?
Meanwhile, those guys are messing with John's bike. They think it's Ponch's bike, though. They got him mixed up, but...
In a minute, man. Officer Pucciarini deserves the best.
Later on that night, he pawns off the dog onto Ponch.
Hey, John, order. No, girls love him. Stay here, I'll be right back.
The next day, the three guys are following Ponch and Jon because they want to see them crash.
There's an Officer Pucciarini. Yeah. Small world, eh, officer?
Do you mind stepping out of the vehicle, please? In the interest of your own safety, of course. And also in the interest of your own safety, we're going to have to stop these coincidental chance meetings. Is that clear?
Hands off him if you're gonna kill him!
A man suffering a heart attack.
Get him to the hospital, please! Take your hands off of him!
What? You loosened his front hub?
The guy's friend comes clean. While the boys are in hot pursuit, the bolt comes off of John's wheel. They were finally able to get word to him to pull over just as the wheel was starting to have problems. He's fine. The guys got arrested and they found the owner of that dog. Our episode starts with an airplane that had to have an emergency landing on a highway. Turns out it's a female pilot.
I was saying, why don't...
I'm feeling a little weak. Maybe we could talk about this over dinner?
Hey, that's a good idea.
That's a wonderful idea. Episode 4, Moving Violation. Ponch gets pulled over for speeding when he's on that date. And he doesn't get out of it. They pull over a guy played by football player Rosie Greer. In a very strange scene, the guy attacks his own car, beats the hell out of it. He basically destroys the whole thing.
Yeah, he's about 3 quarts low.
John has the bad news of telling someone that her husband died in an accident.
He died on the way to the hospital.
Ponch has to go to traffic school to get out of his ticket, but he goes in disguise because he doesn't want anybody to know who he is. Later on, they're chasing a stolen van from the University of California, which takes a tumble. But it's even worse than that. Guess what's in that van? It appears to be a bunch of cobras.
I think you just got my boot. Help! Get me out of here!
They use some CO2 on the snakes to basically cool them down to knock them out for a little bit so they can get this thief out. It works.
Well, we just got tired waiting. You see, the church has been promising a picnic all summer. Never got around to it, so we figured we'd take it ourselves.
They stole a bus and took a bunch of old people out for a ride. But as they were parked there, the brakes suddenly went out on it, and there was still an old couple in the back, but Ponch got in real quick and basically drove it over some gravel and some bushes to stop it. In this episode, we have a couple of thieves who pretend to be stranded motorists on the side of the road. They tag their own car, and of course they're stranded right next to a very rich house, so they break open the fence and break into the house.
We want to get dressed slideshows.
Here's the thief breaking into the mansion. A couple kids get busted.
You know, you guys just arrived at your own funeral.
Episode 5, Career Day. Meanwhile, our thief strikes again. Same MO. Pretend to be stranded and break into a house nearby. Richard Deacon, Ponch's old high school principal.
I'm proud of what you've become. Look at you, from the lowest depths to the highest heights. I think you'd be an inspiration to the entire student body, and I'd like you to address them on Career Day.
Ponch gets to be in a helicopter in this episode, and he actually spots the thieves.
Spotted possible 459 suspects on Ventura. Suspects are moving to the van.
And with the help of Ponch in the air, they get him. At Career Day, Ponch initially freezes and gets scared. Jon saves him though, and he's off.
These dudes, 8, 9 guys in one car.
This episode starts with some boxes of baby food falling off of a truck. Episode 6, Baby Food. Notice the couple picking up. They were able to recover almost all the boxes, but apparently one of them didn't. They're kind of hippie scavengers who found it. They drive a bus. The actor, by the way,
You folks need any help?
was the one Eric Estrada beat out for the role of Ponch.
Well, for your own safety, you shouldn't be on the shoulder any longer than necessary.
Apparently the baby food was contaminated.
What? You gotta be kidding. You know that baby food was on the way to the lab. It was contaminated with botulism.
I know.
Boys are involved in rescuing a dog from a burning car.
Come on, get out, come on. Hurry up, come on.
Harry's gonna make it.
Get up here, come on.
Earlier today on the Golden State Freeway, 2 boxes of deadly baby food were lost. This baby food is contaminated with botulism. The boxes are marked Deletti's.
And that couple got them.
Did you guys sight a baby food truck this morning?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it was a loose load. In fact, we almost got killed.
Yeah, well, that loose load contained contaminated baby food, botulism, and the 2 boxes of it missing.
So they're going to go out looking for that bus because they think the people on the bus found the baby food. And they're right, but it's too late. That baby's eating that botulism. And they eventually find him.
Now that baby food is poison.
So they can't get out of that traffic jam there, so they put the baby on Jon's lap. Baby's gonna be okay.
He's still in recovery, but the doctor says he's gonna be okay.
What about the baby food?
Oh, it's all accounted for. 15H got it.
You put in a good day, fellas.
This episode has some robbers going after people at toll booths. Episode 7, Taking Its Toll. This episode features the crash of an onion truck, which brings the boys to tears.
Don't think so hard, John. You know, there's worse duty than this, you know. You could have Gatrell for a partner.
A car crash with a bomb in the back seat.
What? A bomb? You're kidding! No, I ain't! He ain't! Wait!
And a driver stuck next to that bomb-filled car.
There's no way we're gonna get him out of there.
You're writing a book.
Don't get excited.
Yes, he
You're writing a
is.
book about me. How could you do this to me, John?
Come on, don't worry, okay?
Don't worry. What do you mean, don't worry? What Gatrell doesn't have in my jacket.
He's writing about his police experiences.
You're putting...
What do you mean, nice try?
You know you can't drive in a diamond land unless you have 2 or more passengers.
If you'll excuse me, I do have 2 passengers. Where does it say that Zorro is not a passenger?
Meanwhile, our toll booth robbers are still doing their thing. Eventually, the robbers get caught too. And Jon decides not to write the book against Ponch's wishes.
Cerebral? Sorry, but...
Our first scene in this episode features two guys, angry road ragers. Yes, they're ramming each other on the LA freeways, which ultimately ends in a crash.
1185 in a car unit.
You shot it! This is my wife's car!
You can thank the Green Thumb burglars.
The who? C.H.I.P.S, landscape thieves. We're replanting a whole stand of saplings that they ripped off.
You gotta be kidding.
Episode 8, Green Thumb Burglar. They give a ticket to a psychic.
Third, you will be in danger from fire. And fourth, you're going to experience a devastating romantic setback.
Jake, dig these up. They're worth about $50 a piece. Sam, you get these and I'll get the oleanders, okay?
These are our Green Thumb burglars. They're stealing shrubbery and bushes and flowers and selling them and making big bucks. Everything that psychic said is coming true to Ponch. She warned him about fire, and now he's got a fire here. With the help of the firemen, they get the fire out. Would you believe they pull over Puffin stuff?
No, man, this is Puffin stuff. Don't you ever... I forgot. He doesn't have a TV set.
What? No TV? And you're gonna write me a ticket?
Okay.
Right after pulling over Puffin stuff,
Picked up another chippy.
they spot potential thieves, and they're right. And Gautreer, who's really into plants, takes this one himself. And like most C.H.I.P.S episodes, this one ends in a chase with our bad guys getting caught.
Get your hands over your head. Kneel down.
In this episode, the Ponch and Jon are chasing a couple of thieves
Turn around and take off your helmets.
who drive motorcycles, but they got the wrong people this time.
And therefore, Your Honor,
Episode 9, Hustle.
if the officer were parked there...
You're almost right.
They pull over Broderick Crawford,
Wow, this is really something.
star of TV show Highway Patrol in the 50s.
John, this is Broderick Crawford.
Yeah, I know. I knew when I came up here, and besides, I got to run.
Apparently, John's really good at bowling.
Tournament, what else? We can clean house. What? Oh, you'll see.
And Ponch has a bowling team.
Don't make a sound.
And here's our motorcycle robbers again. In between the main plot of the motorcycle thieves, there's an accident and this guy gets fried. There's a woman and a baby stuck inside the car too. And of course there's the Frenchman who doesn't speak any English, who's somehow driving a car with only 3 wheels. Anyway, as usual, near the end of the episode, we have a final chase between Ponch and Jon and, in this case, our motorcycle robbers. Which ends, as usual, with the robbers crashing. In our final scene, Jon can't bowl because...
That little mishap at Griffith Park the other day.
Yeah?
It's not serious, but...
Stuck in a traffic jam? Motorcycle thief is gonna get you. And drive off. Meanwhile, Ponch gets an obsession with a photograph of a woman on a bus, which looks more like art.
Sometimes I think it'd be worth it, partner. Look at her. She's a work of art.
This time the boys catch the thief right away after a crash. There seems to be some recognition of this guy.
Hey, you know him?
Yeah. I don't know. I know the face.
He probably just read your nameplate.
Episode 10, Highway Robbery. There's his picture again. And there's Grossy. We see Grossman for the first time in this episode.
Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
The chick. The model. Miss Easy on. She's a friend of the Contreras family or something.
Here we learn about the motorcycle robber.
Oh, by the way, John, your old teammate's gonna make bail in about an hour.
What do you mean, my old teammate?
You know the 211 biker you and Ponch came down on? Leo Norrison.
Oh, yeah, of course.
They went to high school together. He's now a thief.
Used to be a real leader in high school. You remember that, JB?
Brief side story about a speeder.
Chippies. Oh, one more ticket. They're going to cancel my old man's insurance. He's going to take it out of my hides, Andy. Hang tight, everybody.
I'm sure this will turn out well. They crash and overheat.
Come on, get out.
Looks like Leo's still at it. Which happens to be nearby Ponch and Jon. And like always, Chips always gets their man.
Hi.
Ponch meets the dream girl, who happens to be 15.
Another real-life highway patrolman.
You put me on. I mean, this has got to be Janie's kid sister, huh?
This episode features a woman who steals Rolls Royces. Here she stole one right from a funeral.
One letter make you...
Ponch has 4 tickets to a game show.
My lucky hands. 4 tickets to name your price, the highest paying game show on television.
Is that your fortune?
Episode 11, Name Your Price. Our Rolls Royce thief continues to do her thing. Ships featured a lot of cars having rollover accidents. However, this is the very first. This time she's going to steal a Rolls right from the showroom.
Scarcely aware it's running. That's nice. Now, a test ride to my apartment only. Just a moment.
She's got a guy down at the docks that she sells these things to. This time they're spotted.
Brought 2 chippies with you, baby.
Which ends in arrest. This time with no crash, though. Unusual for Chips.
Got another unit on its way. Sorry it's not as classy as the thing you've been driving.
And although he doesn't win, Ponch does get a chance to appear on the game show.
A brand new Z1R motorcycle! He rides one every day, but who would have thought of pricing it?
This episode actually starts with a crash. And a boat. Episode 12, away we go. The boys are assigned to a way station.
Hey, tell me about it, I know.
Okay, fine, thanks, sir. Yeah, I want you guys to pay special attention while you're up there, because there's been a series of truck hijacking.
There are two hijackers. One of them is Gerald McRaney.
I'll bet there's $100,000 worth of calculators in there. Yeah, Vince's boss is going to be real pleased.
Our hijackers continue to do their thing. Here's an interesting car chase where the guy's steering wheel fell off. Our hijackers do get stopped at a way station. They have to go do something with their truck. They got to get out of there, so they beat this guy up and steal his truck. They get caught.
Get out of the truck and put your hands on your head. Turn around.
But there's another accident that happened just on the other side of the bridge. That's Crispin Glover's father on the left.
What's going on in?
And this car has crashed over the side of a cliff with a woman and her daughter inside. The car kind of dangling off the cliff. They go in, they rescue the baby. I should say the daughter. And the mother. Ponch, Jon, and Cottrell bought that boat that crashed through the window. They fixed it up, but apparently it's got a few problems still. Alright, Schlockmeister fans, we're going to watch a request from Marty. This one's called Lunch Wagon. Let's check it out. Who is this mysterious officer?
How dare you? That's the crudest remark I've ever heard.
Look like John. The accident involved a guy whose wife was having a baby. Our mysterious officer leaves. But Ponch and Jon show up and help give birth.
It's a girl! Oh, it's a boy. Okay, it's a boy!
Episode 13, One Too Many.
Motor officers was a little more than charming to a certain female motorist. I believe the term's called coming on strong. The young lady checked the squad pictures out in the hall and picked you out, Jon.
Wait a minute, she picked me?
Ponch is staying with Jon because his generator is out on his trailer.
That is Dean. Dean, huh? Hey, come on, Jon, you know what I mean. What's the story?
I saw you up on the Hollywood yesterday. Hitting up on that brunette in the sedan.
You saw me?
Yeah. Hey, come on, Bear. That wasn't Jon.
So what's the description of this guy?
So they're dealing with a lookalike who looks like Jon and is impersonating a police officer. They also have to deal with this guy. We finally get a look at our lookalike.
Hey, look here, babe. What do you say you just drive on home, saying I'll tag along behind you? And then I'll stop up for a little nightcap. And,
Ponch and Jon show up off duty to help. They happen to stumble upon him, and the cop takes off, the phony cop.
Stopped me and then made dirty insinuations and attacked me, and then these two came along and helped him.
Next day, they spot him. Which, of course, ends in a chase, a crash, and a capture. Jon's tired of living with Ponch. His trailer's still not ready.
I'm gonna stay right here.
This episode starts with a car chase in a parking ramp. And the arrest of a jerk.
1148 to Parker.
10-4, 15-7-34.
He's giving him a hard time. Episode 14, Rustling. We have cattle rustlers who are rustling with motorcycles.
Take hours to put together a real head count.
you are. Back the truck right up there.
And the service managers agreed to appear as
The
a
jerk they arrested
witness if the court
is found guilty. He took him to court, though.
Your Honor, my client begs to change his plea to guilty.
John helps out a 17-year-old girl who was in a car accident.
Listen, I'll keep in touch, okay?
Hit by a drunk driver. That's the guy who was ripped off earlier. They're stopping all trucks that are carrying livestock, looking for the rustlers.
It'd be nice if you was stopping me to tell me you got my stolen stock back.
Turns out this guy is actually one of the rustlers. And they got their motorcycles in the back. Ponch and Jon arrive at the scene and a motorcycle chase ensues. The boys in blue win again. Prize party for John. Ponch thought it was his birthday, but he was wrong by several months.
You handsome thing. Oh, thank you, Mammy. Fritz Gross, bear.
They arrested a guy.
Yes, well, there's a scratch on the hood and you are going to have to pay for it.
Listen, I'm sorry. Submit a claim to the California Highway Patrol.
Submit a claim? You have violated private property.
Episode 15, Surf's Up. Got a gang of thieves breaking into vehicles.
Fingerprints are all over that van. Give me some rags. Come on. Come on. Hurry up. Come on. Here. Wait. Come on. Wait. Come on. Move.
Ponch thought he caught a thief, but he messed up.
I made a mistake. Hey, I'm trying to apologize.
Okay, man, I got it.
A couple of Playboy playmates here, Lynn Thiel and Sandra something.
Did you ladies witness the,
Shootout?
yeah, the shootout?
Uh-huh. We saw it all.
There was a runaway car. A guy who stole a car inadvertently took a baby. Didn't know it was inside. Boys take their playmate dates out jet skiing.
Everyone. Disneyland, huh?
He makes up to that kid by taking him and his family to Disneyland.
Can you handle all this?
Probably not, but I got reinforcements in the car.
So they finally have a final chase with those car thieves.
Okay, man, just be cool, huh? Put your hands on your head. Hey, get out on your knees.
Your van was one of the first, Doug. What do you think about that?
I think you're the biggest loser I know. You had some good friends. Lots of luck with your new ones.
Very much like Home Alone, his family was packing up all their kids and everything after a little roadside picnic on a road trip. They forgot the baby. Episode 16, Vintage 54. This episode features car thieves, cars who are going after specific classic cars. Ponch and Jon brought the baby in once somebody called after they found it.
Here's the forms. They're all signed out. Watch your contract, and don't frighten her.
What's the matter, You tired of these strangers?
Emergency situation, a parachutist whose first chute failed, emergency chute went on, and she got stuck, passed out. So they gotta rescue her. This is the couple who lost the baby.
Darling, you took the baby to Grandma's yesterday morning.
Yesterday morning, darling, you said it was on your way and that you would take the baby.
Baby's been gone over a day. Her car was stolen.
We don't have any kernels in this outfit.
Never mind the excuses. I want my car. I reported it stolen last night.
Mommy, Daddy, and baby are reunited.
Together now, Mrs. Bassett. Everything's gonna be okay.
I'm sorry. I just thought of losing her.
Eventually, they catch those thieves. They always catch those thieves.
Hands on your head. Get down on your knees. Okay, cross your legs.
Episode 17, Hitchhiking Hitch. This guy is losing control of this little machine he's got on the highway. Something broke on it. But they're finally able to stop him. And he's happy about it until he gets arrested. The recurring theme of this episode are these two high school girls who are addicted to hitchhiking.
This would be the one place the traffic moved perfectly.
Kathleen Cannon, their aunt, or one of the aunts.
We meet again.
A house is being moved and this old man refuses to move from it.
Dad, you don't want to get arrested.
You could be hurt if that house collapses. I wouldn't come out if you called the Marines. The old discards. Well, I'm not going to do it.
We can appreciate how you feel, sir.
Oh, you can, huh? So that's why you broke my door. What's next? My arm? Leroy and I want you boys to come by.
Well, once his family said they could take Leroy with you, that's his big dog, his St. Bernard, he agreed to leave.
Play checkers?
Forget that. Bring girls.
They had to deal with a runaway truck that lost its brakes. Their co-worker Bear got in front of it and slowed it down just in time. Meanwhile, the girls keep hitching.
Can I give you girls a lift?
One of those actresses is Stacey Nelkin, you might remember from Halloween 3. Notice the guy in the red truck waving at the camera.
Monica?
They hitch some more.
I'll take the window. I don't like him. You need to go on.
This time her friend backs out and the van takes off. There's some sort of pervert in the back of the van too, so there's two guys and this girl in there. These things always end abruptly. The girl is rescued.
You're no friend. Don't you ever talk to me again. Ever.
We have a guy calling in fake accidents.
Yeah, hurry.
Which leads all the police here on a wild goose chase. That's the theme of this episode. He's got a bad habit of doing this. Wet roads. John wipes out. But not to worry, he's fine. Episode 18, Cry Wolf.
I didn't go near any fire alarm boxes either.
This is Walt and his sister. Walt's been calling in these fire alarms and accidents.
Walt, you just can't stay shut in here with a father who's been dead since you were 6.
He keeps calling in these fake accidents. The boys in blue have to respond. They're going to try to trace him now.
SD-248.
Is anyone but the pilot hurt?
No.
Turns out this time it was a real accident and it wasn't the Walt who was calling it in.
Get him out of here, okay, before this chopper blows.
All right. Guys, pick him up carefully and put him on the shoulder.
Ponch and Jon on a double date at a French restaurant where they orders escargot.
I think you guys handled that beautifully, both of you.
This woman came sprinting out of this car saying, "Get this thing out of my car!" She left it open. They stumbled upon it, of course, and there's a snake in the car, a boa constrictor. It belongs to Cousin Oliver from the Brady Bunch.
Don't worry. I won't let him hurt you. It's okay, Ralphie.
And his mom is John Travolta's sister.
He scares me to pieces.
Meanwhile, another false accident is called in.
253.
7 Mary 3, the false alarm was called in from San Diego 25.
And they got him traced this time. Ponch and Jon catch the guy, who then decides to hang off a bridge.
Hey, I'm only trying to help. Why don't you let me do that? It's my job.
He tried to jump, but they grabbed him, saved him, and arrested him.
I don't really want to die. You're lucky we weren't answering some false alarm.
Watch for the bum throwing dirt at the motorcycles. Episode 19, Crash Diet. So in this episode, the recurring theme is a guy who stands on the highway and throws dirt at cars. And there he is again. We also have a side plot where everybody has to lose a combined 1,000 pounds.
Central Division of C.H.P. will lose 1,000 pounds.
Our dirt thrower's at it again. There's a little bit of an overreaction from her. Ponch rescues Jon from a truck full of dynamite that's on fire. Ponch has to perform a Heimlich on a guy who was choking.
Okay. I can breathe now.
On stakeout, Ponch and Jon meet the guy. His name is Leonard. He's got a few screws loose.
Now, wait a minute, friend, all right? Just relax. Just relax, okay? We're here to help you.
He ends up taking off and they can't catch him. They find out that he's a Vietnam vet whose wife was killed in a car accident.
Once in a while, he goes around the bend. Well, does he want to be found? Or
This is his
does he
doctor.
want to stay lost?
With the help of his doctor, they're able to bring Leonard in.
Oh, Leonard. All right, Leonard. I hate the car.
And in the end, they lose their combined 1,000 pounds.
On the nose.
We did it, 1,000 pounds. I hope that computer of yours has a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, well, so do I.
We have a rolling casino. And we have thieves who ride a motorcycle. They pull a lady over saying something's wrong with your tire. One guy diverts her attention. The other guy steals the car. The remaining guy says, that's just a hitchhiker. I don't even know who that is. Episode 20, Rainy Day.
Can we make a deal?
Sure, we can make a deal. Look, go and change your uniforms, then come to briefing, and then go out in car 18.
They gotta go out in a car because it's very rainy. They can't be on their bikes. The rolling casino had to get tough with somebody who was causing a ruckus.
I'm refunding the 100 you paid to come aboard. And you think you're gonna dump me out here? You can hitch a ride.
That's what they're gonna do. Meanwhile, a rare shot of Ponch and Jon in a car on patrol.
The bikes and get out of this traveling booby trap, huh?
You heard the weather forecast, more showers.
Car thieves are at it again. In spite of Ponch and Jon being there, the guy escapes. The chase does ensue. But they actually do catch him. Fairly early in the episode, too. Meanwhile, the guy got kicked out of the casino, wants revenge, and has come back with a gun. Another chase. Chases never end well for the bad guys.
On top of your head. Face camp.
Ponch and Jon are in hot pursuit of two people drag racing on the highway. And the guy inexplicably does this. And this results in an injury to Jon. Episode 21, Crack Up. Jon ends up in the hospital, some broken ribs.
Oh, this is ridiculous. I hate hospitals.
Phyllis Diller comes to visit. She plays Wanda.
This morning. If your act is half that good, you'll be a smash.
She's an ex-vaudevillian actress. Meanwhile, a couple days later, Grossi gets injured by the same guy. This guy was driving a tow truck and was trying to find a cop to injure. Success. So Grossi and Jon share the same hospital room. They're both going to be there for a little while. And both of them get visited by Wanda, who's staying there because her husband's
Jon, I'm sorry
in.
the hypnotherapy didn't work.
So Gutierrez and Ponch have to team up. Meanwhile, a couple of drivers, Mark Lawrence and Hunts Hall.
You're a nervous wreck. Do you know that? And you're driving me crazy. I'm cautious. You're paranoid.
So they get cut off and their armored truck crashes, but they're paranoid. They don't believe the cops are cops.
He's dressed like a cop. Now move out slowly and keep your hands in sight.
While they're tending to the armored truck, they happen to run into that tow truck again. Ends up in a chase. And this time, they're going to catch him. So we have a guy stealing a motorcycle, one of the cops' motorcycles, as part of an initiation to get into a biker gang. Pulled it off. Episode 22, Flashback. Joe Penny is Officer Delaney. He just beat Ponch, new officer, in a competition.
What do you say we go again? Same odds.
Oh, thanks. I couldn't hack tacos 4 days in a row.
Turning tight corners on this little strip they have there. We flash back to when Ponch first met Jon. Apparently, Ponch was kind of a ruffian. And Jon was already a cop.
Bert? Why don't you reach in your pocket and give me your driver's license?
Durkee is paired with Ponch, and he's kind of a spoiled rich kid, and kind of blows it here. He was supposed to be watching to make sure this didn't happen. Apparently they became friends, and he tried to convince Jon
Hey, you crazy, man?
Ponch.
This is an application for the C.H.P.
That's right.
to join.
It's so funny, man.
That's no joke. Listen, the way you ride a bike, I mean, you do attract a little trouble, but you also attract luck for people around you.
We flash back to Ponce's 8th day on the job and situation. Took a few tries, but they eventually rescued the girls. Back to Delaney, he's being diverted by this pretty girl. But she's part of the gang that's stealing police motorcycles.
How do you do?
Flashback to meeting Gutierrez for the first
Tells
time.
me you want to take the C.H.P. examination.
Yeah, I think it's crazy, but Mr. Clean here keeps twisting my arm. You ever try filling out an application with a twisted arm, huh?
Flashback when Jon pulled over a car full of Hispanics who were looking for trouble. These are friends of Ponch's, actually, and Ponch is in the back seat of that car. Ponch diffuses it by saying, "He's my cousin."
fiesta de Margarita, huh? Hey, let me tell you about this dude. This is the pride of the barrio. We were kids together, man.
Anyway, Delaney is involved with the final arrest of our motorcycle thieves. This is the ringleader. He's involved in the ringleader's arrest, too.
Looks like we got a C.H.P. officer.
Yep. Courage, honesty, and pride.
Alright, let's talk about the TV show CHIPS. I think it ran from 1979 to 1985, somewhere in that range. Actually, I think those years are totally wrong. I think it was a couple years earlier than that, 77 to 83 or something like that. Anyway, it's a show that I used to watch when I was a kid, and this first season, you know, I'm looking back on these episodes. There's 22 episodes in season 1. I don't think I ever watched any of these episodes. I know I used to watch CHIPS on a regular basis, and there's certain episodes that I remember and everything, but not one of these stood out as any sort of memory, so I don't know. But I did watch CHIPS quite a bit. So in this first season, I was kind of interested in the very last episode, Flashback. We actually saw how Ponch and Jon meet each other. Seemed a little implausible to me, but whatever. It introduces the characters of Grossman, and we saw Bonnie. I think, according to IMDb, she was a regular series player in subsequent seasons. She was apparently a background person in some of these episodes. I don't recall seeing her, but she was apparently there as well. And all these episodes seem to follow the same formula. There's an ongoing crime spree of some sort, whether it's car thieves, motorcycle thieves, some sort of thieves, any kind of thieves or other things going on. And they get away with it throughout the episode. There's several several incidents where they get away with it, and of course at the end there's always like some final chase which ends in a crash, and Ponch and Jon arrest the people who are bad. And along the way throughout the episode there's also a couple other incidents that happen where Ponch and Jon get to be heroic. These are all just cookie cutter formula episodes. Any one of them could be interchangeable with another, but you know what, it's fun. You know, Ponch and Jon, Larry Wilcox and Eric Estrada, they were a good pair together, and they had good chemistry with each other. And I also like the chemistry with Sergeant Cottrell as well, played by Robert Pine. And Eric Estrada, he just has a very certain charisma about him. I like the show. Anyway, there's 22 episodes here. About half of them have like an introduction by Eric Estrada where he explains the episode and talks about some of the guest stars, that sort of thing. Speaking of guest stars, there was a lot of guest stars throughout this series. Some like old people in Hollywood. Phyllis Diller, Huntz Hall was in a recent one as well, and a lot of other names that went on to become famous. Edward James Olmos was in the very last episode here, and he went on to become, was it L.A. Law he was on? I'm not sure. But anyway, 6 seasons for CHIPS, and I have all 6 in a box set. This is season 1, and I should show you the box set, but oh well, I think I showed it at the beginning. So anyway, there's also like an 11-minute kind of documentary about CHIPS here, where there's some guy talking about the episodes and that sort of thing, which is pretty interesting too. So anyway, it's called CHIPS. If you want the box set, which is what I would recommend, you're going to pay about $100 for it. That's what it kind of goes for on eBay. Maybe you can get it used for about $70, $80. I think I've seen it that low. But yeah, you can expect to pay about $90 to $100 if you want. And it's a pretty good show. I enjoy it. It's pretty cheesy, but it's fun 70s stuff. So anyway, check it out. Let me know what you think about CHIPS. Leave some comments down below. We'll talk about it. Watch it. Bye.